Hey y'all, Friday evening in East Texas. Hope y'all have had a good week. As we head into the weekend, my days run together. Working 7 days between the weather and other obligations, it just seems like I can't catch up. So I do all I can and go from there. Thought I'd come out in the pasture this evening and do a little stroll and visit with y'all. If you're coming on, check in where you're at, and I'll try to keep up. If nothing else, we'll look back through them here in a minute as we wrap it up. Got all the animals all over the place. You can see cream crowders are up and moving, and proud of that. Get them purple holes in. I figured when I first started doing a garden on this place, I'd plant everything on the same day. Well, you know what that means. You have to harvest about the same time. So thought I'd try to outsmart it a little bit, especially with being so busy. I only have a little bit of daylight in the evening as it goes. Thank goodness for that. But figure I'll stagger it where I can harvest this maybe this day, and it'll be a week or two before the next thing is harvest. My old sweet corn's popping up. Remind me of the old song by Tim. I guess I got 2 of the 3 on the course. There's plenty of green grass out here. You see where the green grass grows. Corn's popping up in rows, but hadn't nailed that third piece of it yet, but that's all right too. These dogs are out and about. Sissy's over there catching flies. She's something else. Just biting the air, catching flies. Waylon's getting his pasture legs, prowling around. I don't know which one of them did this, but I don't get really much aggravated on the digging because that's just a sign that I've got live guard dogs on the place, and I'll trade them a little bit of corn plants for the protection that they offer around here. No, some of my, things pile up on you, and you worry. I don't know that I'm a people pleaser, but I like to help everybody out, and sometimes you get overbooked, if you would, and heap coals on your head, trying to get everywhere you need to be and help everybody out. Because in this business I'm in, there's not many folks doing it, and everybody's told no. But I guess sometimes when I say yes, it can't get there, it's about the same thing. But it is what it is. Heard tell about little Johnny had got a brand new slingshot. Never had one before. So he took out in the back part of his grandmother's property and was trying to hit targets. And I mean, he was sorry at it. Couldn't hit nothing to save his life. Well, he's going to give up and started back toward the house. And her pet duck come out of the wood line. And just as an impulse, he didn't even think about it. He raised that old slingshot and let one of them stones go. And sure enough, he hit the target, killed the duck. Now he was in a pickle. He didn't really mean to do that. After he thought about it, well, as you know it, he took it behind the wood pile, was going to hide it. But his little sister Sally was sitting on the swing set. She saw it all. They went on in the house, ate supper, and come time to wash dishes. And Grandma said, "Sally, come in here and help Grandma wash the dishes." Well, Sally leaned over to Johnny and said, "I seen what you did with her duck. If you don't take my place washing dishes, I'm going to tell." Well, Johnny didn't want no part of that. So he volunteered to take Sally's place and went to washing the dishes, even though he didn't want to. Next morning, Grandpa got up and was going to go off fishing. And Sally was going to stay around and help Grandmother with house chores. He invited Johnny to go, and Sally did the same thing. "I'm going fishing, and if you don't let me go instead, I'm going to tell Grandma what you did to that duck." Well, sure enough, Sally went fishing, Johnny stayed home. Well, that rocked on for about 2 weeks. It was all he could stand between the guilt of it and all the household chores, him and Sally's. He'd had enough, so he went to his grandma and told her what had happened. She looked at him with a big smile and gave him a big hug, and she said, "Johnny, I saw the whole thing from the kitchen window. I was just wondering how long it was going to take you to come ask for grace." So all that for nothing. I thought about that, whether it be on a low level or spiritual level. We got a lot of Sallys in our life, don't we? Not literally, but things that have happened to us that maybe we're ashamed of or think we'd never get forgiveness for. And God's seen it the whole time. Stands ready to give us a little grace, doesn't he? Thought that was pretty neat. I remember now, of course, you never forget in Texas about fire ants, right? Y'all know all about them if you're in Texas and along the south anyway. But spring rains seem to spread them a little bit more. And I was looking at them elderberries the other day, and boy, I mean, there's some right there. They're just everywhere out here, and they will eat you up. I got tickled thinking about it. A couple, 3 years ago, a film crew from Great Britain, Alamo Picture Company, came out and did a little short film along with a couple of other ranchers in Texas, just small operations, as part of a mini documentary. Now, I've seen it. They finally got it all ready, but it's still not been publicly released necessarily. They're in a few film festivals. It's up for awards. One of them kind of got me tickled because it's in Waco. That's where I moved from, coming back out here. So come out here, and now the film's back in Waco. Make that make sense. But the funny thing was, one of those poor guys, they were good people from Britain, enjoyed that visit. Just good souls, cheery. But of course, you've got a film crew, and I'm out there, and they're filming me planting the elderberries and talking about it. And I get tickled thinking about it, poor guy. They were out here in shorts. It's about this time of year. And he was standing there filming. Well, they apparently don't have fire ants in Britain, right? And he was standing there, and we was wrapping up whatever we was talking about. And that poor thing went to hollering and running. He didn't know what had a hold of him. And I asked him I thought a snake or something had got him. And he was running and hollering. I said, "What's wrong?" Of course, I can't do a British accent. But he said he was bloody on fire. I knew what that was. I said, "Brother, that's fire ants. Slow down." So we went up there and got him all situated on his bare legs. And I don't think he wants nothing to do with fire ants anymore. That was something else. Had a old logger come home on Friday evening like this. He got home a little early after a full week in the log woods and come home to his little country home and his family, but nobody was there. He was a couple hours earlier than normal. Well, it wasn't too far abnormal for him to walk into an empty house. His wife and little girl were probably up the road visiting family, and his son was home from school, probably out roaming the woods. So he goes on in the house, about to get settled, take his boots off. Before he did, he glanced out back, and he saw his son in the backyard near the clothesline stomping the ground. He's like, "What in the world is going on out there?" So he watched him a minute. He kept stomping. Well, he opened up the back door, and he said, "Sam, what are you doing back there?" He said, "Hey, Daddy." That's all he said, just kept stomping. He said, "What are you stomping?" He said, "Dad, you know how all the time at this time of year, Mama comes out here and hangs up the clothes on the line and gets to eat up with these fire ants? And remember last week when baby sister was out here playing, they like to got her all the way up her neck, just crawled all over. I said, "Well, I'm tired of them fire ants." He said, "Well, what are you stomping for?" He said, "Well, today in class, Miss Singletary told us a story about a young boy and some starfish that had washed up on the shore, and how he couldn't save them all, but he was throwing them one by one, trying to help them. So I figured I come home and I'm going to kill these ants. I'm going to stomp them all." His dad just chuckled. He said, "Sam, there's thousands of ants out there. There is no way that you're going to do any good stomping them ants." Sam just went to stomping. He said, "Well, that one ain't going to bite Mama, and that one ain't going to bite Mama." Oh, perception of a child. So he took the starfish, instead of saving them, he's going to protect Mama by stomping out them fire ants. That's about right. And he was right. That one ant or two or 50 that he ended up stomping wasn't going to bite nobody anymore, were they? I thought that was really cute. Well, I've got tomato plants to put out. Not going to happen this weekend. I have to do it one evening this week. And Tabasco plants and all that good stuff. Probably put the purple hulls in this week. My yard's just about overgrown. That mower still ain't running. But I cut bait, so I've got a buddy coming up tomorrow morning before the rain sets in tomorrow evening. he's going to knock all these weeds down and get us looking proper again. Some of y'all saw that story of the well this morning. Of course, we dug it out. That was from a couple of, well, I guess that story was a year or so ago. We've got so many videos that a lot of the newcomers hadn't seen. Done this for about 5 years and can't come on every day, so I try to go back through and find some of the good stories and share them with y'all that didn't see them when we told them. But here's the old well now. We got it out of the ground, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it back over there where it was and at least make it decorative, right? But we don't have a big old hole to fall in, and that's a good thing. But this old place, New Love, and I'm sure my mama drew out of that well, place of faith. And we just keep trotting along, don't we? My baby goats are out here somewhere running around. But, you can learn a lot from kids. One young father that had about a 5-6-year-old little girl. Mama took care of her most of the time, but Mama had to go to town. So Dad was left with the babysitting duties that afternoon. Well, he wanted to watch football on TV or whatever. He wasn't really wanting to entertain a little 5-year-old girl. So he was trying to come up with something to keep her busy. They were sitting there looking through a magazine. He got an idea. Come up on a page with a world map on it. So he said, Susie, come here. Let me show you something. So she come over there, and he took that page and cut it up into little squares and thought he might have something to occupy her for a little while. He said, sit down and put this back together and make it like it was. So he settled into an easy chair and got his favorite program on. She was already there right by him. Said she'd finished. Must have hid disappointment already. So he walked in and said, how in the world did you finish it that quick? And he looked at it. Sure enough, it was dead on. Didn't know how in the world she knew how to put all that back where it belonged. He said, well, how'd you do that, sweetheart? She said, well, Dad, when you was cutting it up, I noticed on the back there was a man and a woman. And I figured if I could put the man and the woman back together, that'd bring the world back together. Isn't that something? It's about right. We've pretty much lost the family these days, unfortunately. I think that's the chagrin of if that's the right word, of our society. Well, anyway, that little girl had the wisdom to know it, right? Whether she comprehended it or not, she was right. Put those two things back together, and you'll have the rest of it fixed, right? Well, these clouds, I know it ain't gonna rain this evening, but they sure look kind of threatening. And I got baby goats on the porch wanting some milk, so I guess we'll call it an evening this evening. Let me check off real quick who's on here, and I'm gonna get me a little bite to eat. Get ready for another work day tomorrow, and hope we can get some folks fixed up for their season on their pools. Get over here on this fence where I can take a gander at it, right? It's old sourweed. You ever had, it's a little young right now. Y'all know what this is? Anybody, country folks will. We call it old sourgrass or sourweed. And when it matures a little bit more, gets more of a stalk, probably about another month, you can chew on them. And I don't know if it had any nutritional value, but it's just sour. We used to do it as kids and go out there and pull them up. Well, it's going to be a flurry of dandelion blowing tomorrow with that mower. We showed, of course, it's horrible high. Look at all them dandelions out here. I guess that's not going to do anything but spread it further. That's all right. They're pretty enough. I've heard about dandelion tea. I've never tried it. Sure ain't got time to start that this weekend either, so I won't. Let me see who all's on here real quick, and we'll call it an evening. Scroll back up. Appreciate all y'all coming along. There's Melissa from North Carolina. And we got Sharon out in East Tennessee. Boy, I tell you what, that one little story we shared, I'm still just mind blown. It's still popping along, over 1 million. Just blows my mind. That little farm in East Texas, and 1 million eyes looking at that. Isn't that something? Just crazy. But thank you. Appreciate y'all sharing and commenting and supporting everything we do. Of course, we've got the little subscriber channel I come on a couple of times a day to try to and just kind of show you the behind the workings of the farm and things of that nature. I think it's $1 a month, and I might have to pay you $1 to look at it, huh? That's all right. That's like the little boy who went to the grocery store, had $20 from his mama he'd saved up for the week, get him a little bill of groceries. That's what Mama used to say, right? Get a bill of groceries. And went in there and got the regular old stuff, some milk and bread and eggs and such as that. We started out the front door and kind of tripped, lost the whole bag on the sidewalk. Yeah, the eggs broke, milk spilled, bread got crushed. It was bad. He sat there crying. They didn't have any more money to go back in there and replace it. Passerbyers coming through and saying how sorry they was that happened and feeling sorry for the poor kid. A couple of them kind of helped him gather it up. One old guy decided he'd change things a little bit. He said, you know what, we're all sorry. He said to everybody helping. He said, I reckon I'm sorry at least 50 cents worth. So I'm going to put 50 cents in this and see if we can't get him another bag. Of course, everybody else followed suit. So I guess that's what it is. I appreciate all the support, but if you, along the way, if you got another $1 to throw at it, well, you can support it $1, huh? It pays for a little extra food for these rascals. This one, Hank, is starting to get a little better, but he's done found him. I call him Mutt and Jeff, and one of them definitely a mutt. It's a little black dog that's full grown, but it's about the size of Waylon, and it lives over in that just a bunch of mongrel dogs over there. And when I'm out here, the dog takes off. I'm sorry, I got enough to feed, so I have to chase him off. But if I look out of the porch and he don't see me, he's running around with Hank, and they're just prancing all through the yard. And he don't even come up to his stomach. But that little black dog thinks he has got a friend and a protector. And he probably does. I don't think Hank would let anything happen to him. But he is walking tall in this grass over having him a buddy. But he's going to have to go somewhere else to eat. But we got enough. Speaking of networking and all, I'll wrap it up. I didn't mean to get into this. I still hadn't met him, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm always blown away at the reach of social media and how things come together, and just absolutely, I had no part in this other than just networking neighbors around here, but it worked out real well. About a month ago, I think it was, had a gentleman pull through the driveway, him and his wife, kind of slow, about this time of the evening, and he asked me, had I seen a lost dog? I said, what kind of dog is it? It's not a little black one. No, it wasn't. I said, what kind of dog is it? He said, well, it's a male Pyrenees. He said, you know what those are? And about that time, Sissy come around the corner. I said, yes, sir, I do. I said, where do you live? He said, well, about a mile and a half or two up the road toward Woden. I said, man, I hate that. Apparently they're from an area of Texas, right in the same area that my dad grew up in, kind of knew some of the same stuff, and took the man's name and number and said, man, I sure hope we can find that baby. These Pyrenees will roam. They're not an aggressive dog, but they mark the territory and they like to roam. And I guess he had roamed on around and got lost and didn't find his way back home. So that was a month ago. Time rocked on, never saw the dog. Well, that evening, I got a message to this page from somebody I don't know. They introduced themselves and said, hey, someone in Woden said I should reach out to you on this page to see if you had lost a Great Pyrenees, because you've got one that you talking about Sissy. Any idea did you lose your dog? I said, wait a second, is it a male? And they said, yeah. I said, well, I have mine, but I think I know whose that might be. So then I went to looking through the phone. I didn't remember the man's name, even though I saved it. I had to go to my neighbor. See, this is why you're supposed to have neighbors, y'all. You know their names right around you. Went over to Francisco, because I understood Francisco worked for the man along the way. 9 o'clock at night, I'm going across there with a flashlight, knocking on Francisco's door, trying to find this man's number. So we found it, reached out to him, sent him some pictures, and sure enough, that was Tank. That's his name, Tank. So connected those two folks together, and Tank's back at home, safe and sound on the big ranch on Woden Road. And I'm talking about happy. Isn't that neat? So you never know what little change you can affect and didn't even know it, right? So if nothing else, I'm glad this thing's here for that reason only. maybe to network a little bit and help put folks together. Sissy, you probably need to meet old Tank. We might even get a litter out of y'all two. You don't want to talk about that, do you? Huh? No. She said, I am not interested in nothing but that AC tonight. And Waylon, too. Crazy thing. He's getting to that chewing puppy stage. Walked in the other evening and got some new coffee I enjoy in those little K-cups. It's not cheap. I had it on the kitchen table. And I have found out who ate all the dog treats. So Waylon jumped up on the table while I was going to work, pulled the whole box of K-cups down, and it's got kind of a caramel smell to it. And I come home from work, opened up the door, and I smelled that coffee. I'm like, why am I smelling that coffee? Opened up the next door, the interior room there where Waylon was. I mean, there was coffee, K-cups strode all over the kitchen. Half of them bitten into and half of them not. And Waylon was bouncing off the walls for the few that he got into. But he had taken every bit of that coffee and wasted it all over the kitchen. He took all my coffee, didn't he? Yep, he just being a little puppy. That's all he was doing. So I got him a little kennel. Well, a little. I say a little. It's big enough. On the way. Got one for the goats in there. Sissy's jealous. But he's going to have to start learning to stay in the confines of a kennel through the day until he can get some sense in his head. Because he's about to tear me out of that whole house. And he drank or ate my coffee. Supposed to drink coffee, right? All right, I'm going to rambling. Let me look again real quick on who's on. I may have to put on my spectacles. The light's fading. I'll go over them so well. And we'll call it an evening. But, just hope y'all can find a way to be a little light around you. There's nothing but a smile, right? I think it matters so much. You never know who you're going to reach or who you're going to make smile that day. There's Miss Karen catching us live out of South Carolina. That's good. Good to see you on. Aggie's saying have a blessed day. Good to see you, old friend. And let's see, Miss Melinda Earl up in Hermitage, Oregon. I think I got that right this time. Caught me live. It looks beautiful and green. Yeah, it's too green and too tall. I'll tell you that. There's Miss Carla. Good to see you. Let's see. Miss Barbara Drake's coming on. Children can be so profound and wise in their youth. Good lesson. Thanks. Barbara in Midlothian. All right. My old eyes are giving out on me, y'all. There's Miss Nancy checking in. Thank you. Miss Stephanie. Sure enjoyed stories. Reminds me of grandparents' farms up in southwest Minnesota. I bet that's pretty country in the summer, but Lord have mercy, I don't believe I could survive a winter in Minnesota. I'm just saying, I don't think I could do it. I guess if I had to, I would, right? We do what we have to do, and we get acclimated to our environment. All right. Sissy's giving me the evil eye. It's too dark for her liking. So we're going to have to go in the house, ain't we, girl? Yeah. You'll say hi to the peoples. Say hello. All right. That's enough. Get off of here? Yes, ma'am. I will. Y'all have a good evening. Be the light and shine on. See you later.